What I see is in my feed from San Francisco, I have a guy who's been fasting for 30 days to be healthy, and I have a guy who's been starving for 7 days in a protest. It doesn't have the impact.
If a really brilliant mathematician tomorrow comes up with a proof that you can't control superintelligent AI, you really think that that would change the game board significantly?
I think the change would be if somebody can show that it's possible. Then, hey, I can lower my pDoom and sleep better.
All right, I want to introduce you guys to Professor Roman Yampolskiy. Let me give you some background info. Dr. Roman Yampolskiy is a director of the Cybersecurity Lab at the University of Louisville. He's authored over 100 publications, and he's been profiled in major media outlets with recent appearances on the Joe Rogan Experience and Diary of a CEO. In my opinion, he's one of the best AI risk communicators out there. Roman, welcome.
Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. So have you been reading this book already? And what are your initial impressions?
I only got it recently, so I haven't gotten beyond the title yet, but the title really gets it. If anyone does build superintelligence, we're all going to regret it, and maybe all of us dying would not be the worst outcome. There is also suffering risks to worry about.
Great. So you agree with the title? Nice. Okay. So by the way, I really loved your appearance on Joe Rogan. I don't know if you remember, like the day before you went on, he had Amjad Masad on, and the whole thing was like, yeah, superintelligent AI, who even knows? Roger Penrose says that consciousness might be caused by microtubules. Nobody knows anything. There's just so much doomerism out there. Just like ignore it all. Who knows? And then you came on and Joe Rogan was like, it's a breath of fresh air to have somebody who keeps it real and like acknowledges the risk. So thanks for being that palate cleanser, Roman.
We actually had a direct debate with CEO of Replit. He was very interesting to discuss this with, and I learned on Joe Rogan that he was the previous guest, so it was a nice surprise.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. I caught your other debate too. Yeah, I mean, so you're definitely killing it. Like I said, you're one of the foremost people, and you've got that professor credential. So nobody can character assassinate you because you publish papers. You've done the work basically, right? You've done the work for how long? 2 decades now?
It never stopped people on the internet from destroying your credibility, so I wouldn't put too much into those 3 letters. But the challenge is open. Anyone can show that, in fact, it's possible, that the proofs don't work, that there is mistake in any other papers. The challenge has been out for years.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me share a clip from Eliezer's book. I guess this might be a new clip for you, but take a look, and then we'll get your reaction. All right, here we go, guys. Clip.
This book is saying if anyone builds it, everyone dies. When you say everyone dies, what is that a metaphor for?
It's not a metaphor for everything. I mean, everybody literally actually dead, as in ceasing to breathe.
Okay, so are we in danger right now?
Right now, I do not quickly expect that we will die before this video releases.
Fair enough, yeah. There's some chance it's already too late and we're all going to die very soon. There's also some other chance that we might have 2 whole decades or more before they release something incredibly unsolvably dangerous, right? So we have wide intervals.
2 decades does start to feel like it's pushing it, barring international policy changes.
All right, so what are your thoughts? Is 2 decades a lot?
It would be nice to have that much. If we are getting to through AGI and superintelligence in 2-3 years, then we may not have that long. I have to say, I'm very happy to see both Eliezer and Nate get beards. I feel like I bring beards back. This is already an accomplishment.
All right, I'll get right on that, Roman. All right, let's talk mechanism of impact. I don't know if you heard, I was talking with Max of, after this book launches, what do you think are the highest leverage ways to improve our situation right now?
So it seems that now the conversation is in the public square. Then I look at the numbers of views, the podcasts you mentioned, we're talking, 10, 20, 30 million viewers who are engaging, who are super interested. I think we just hit 30,000 comments just in that last episode alone. There is no shortage of conversational interest, but there is no actual plan to move forward. Short of, we don't want to build it because it's not in my best interest. I don't see anything else actually working. I think a lot of governance ideas are just security theater. You can make all sorts of things illegal. It doesn't actually make a difference on the ground. So We need people to actually accept that you cannot do it right. You cannot benefit from it, and you'll regret making it happen.
But what do you think is going to make them accept that? Like what's the what's the lever that we can pull?
They are scientists. Many of them are smart, scientifically minded people. If you have a proof, mathematical proof, there are proofs which work in other domains. Again, we tried publishing collections of limiting factors from every domain we could find: mathematics, legal, governance. It's just not a feasible thing to do. And I know Eliezer disagrees with me. He thinks if he had billions of dollars and a lot more time and smarter populace, he would get it done. But I challenged him to actually present that proof, and he also didn't produce one yet. So I think unless somebody delivers very soon, that's the state of the art. It's impossible to do.
It's impossible to have a proof, or it's impossible more generally to change people's minds?
No, I'm saying if we had a mathematical proof accepted universally by scientific community, by AI safety community, that it's impossible to control indefinitely advanced AI, then building it is just pure suicide mission. It's against personal self-interest, even for someone trying to control the world, get all the money. You're just not going to get what you expect to get out of it.
So, but you, just to clarify, you actually think that if a really brilliant mathematician tomorrow comes up with a proof that you can't control superintelligent AI, you really think that that would change the game board significantly?
I think the change would be if somebody can show that it's possible. We have multiple reasons to argue that it's impossible. We have many papers and multiple books already out. What I'm saying is no one was even able to challenge that claim with any rigor. People can say, oh,
Right.
intuitively, I think maybe we can do it. Prove it. If you can, then hey, I can lower my PDUM and sleep better.
Right. So to clarify, you're just saying that other people owe us a proof that what they're building won't kill us, and you don't necessarily owe people a proof that it will kill us.
So by default, those who are creating a product or service have to guarantee its safety. That's a standard in any industry, right? It's not my job to prove that the airplane is dangerous or that a drug is dangerous. The drug company has to establish that it's creating a safe product. There is government verification of that steps. But in this space, we have a large safety community, all working and trying to control advanced AI. But there is zero reason to think that the problem is actually solvable.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Yeah. I was just trying to think, what can we realistically gain out of these kinds of formal proofs? Yeah, because I think, Max also has a research program on formal proofs.
I saw your interview with Vitalik Buterin, and I don't think you presented it as like this is the state of the art. You were kind of trying to understand if he thinks it's solvable, unsolvable. Will we ever know? I think this is what we have right now. And again, unless someone comes out and shows, nope, that's wrong. This is the result. This is what we got. And it's not a bad result to argue with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now that you're personally very high visibility, you're getting on more podcasts, how does that affect your ability to make an impact? Have you noticed a difference?
It's hard to tell immediately. There is definitely a lot more requests coming in for consulting, for reviewing proposals people put in place in commercial settings. I am extremely time limited, so I obviously cannot say yes to 99% of those requests. And even filtering out what is crazy versus actually reasonable proposals is not so trivial. So there is a lot of opportunities in this space to kind of jump in and see, well, is what people suggesting actually valuable, or is this one of those let's make them love everyone type of proposals?
Right. So yeah, I mean, when you do that kind of consulting work, it reminds me of the other kinds of work people try to do, like, oh, I'm going to be a venture capitalist and I'm going to redirect my investment in whichever companies seem like they're on the safest direction. Do you feel like that has any hope of moving the needle, or it's just kind of people wishing that they could move the needle, but not really being in the same ballpark?
Well, moving investments and starting new companies which seem safer is what got us into this mess in the first place. OpenAI was a product of this effective altruism goal for safe AI. Anthropic is exactly that. Oh, my company is not taking safety seriously. Let's start a new company and beat them by creating more capable AI faster. So far, it backfired terribly. If you can trace all these problems, you can trace them back to that exact movement and that idea, right?
That is true. Yeah. Okay. So those consulting gigs, bonus balloon for you. Yeah, those consulting gigs might not be the best way to move the needle here. Okay, and what have you seen with the quality of discourse from your fellow academics and intellectuals? Has that been evolving positively over the years?
Not so much quality, but at least the general acceptance of it as a reasonable topic to even discuss, to give talks on, to do research on. When I started, it was not even a topic. There was simply nothing. I had to literally name the field to something outside of friendly AI because that wasn't
Friendly AI was
accepted
the
at the
original,
moment.
yeah. Okay, and now it's something, but it's just something that other people still don't understand. They just know that they have to pay lip service to it.
There is a lot of kind of dilution. Under the same umbrella, people look at reducing bias, fighting unemployment. So it's not limited to the big problems, really existential risk and worse. So
Right.
we need to concentrate on it as the only really important issue to address in the next couple of years. Because if we can solve the hard problem, easy problems will fall. I'm not concerned about unemployment as much as I am concerned about no one being around.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think what you're describing, it sounds to me like ESG, like environmental, social, and governance, right? It's like when people are like, oh, we're going to make an impact because we're going to redirect our investments toward ESG companies. But even the definition of ESG, it's like, really, you just never invest in fossil fuel energy companies no matter what. But don't we still need some fossil fuels? Like it immediately got so complex, and it was just kind of like a worthless exercise as far as I'm concerned. Like I'm not personally a fan of ESG. Don't you feel like AI safety is just the next ESG now?
I don't have much background in this subfield, so I don't know, but like anyone who basically works for one of those companies right now is directly contributing to making a more capable AI. If you accept the argument, if you think those are systems which are dangerous, and if anyone builds it, everyone dies, then you're directly on that path. It doesn't matter if your company has a safety policy. So just stop doing it right now. Everyone should work on narrow systems. No one should be helping to build general superintelligence.
Right. Okay. Let me also run by you the two main mechanisms of impact that seem promising to me. So number one is getting the politicians scared. Eliezer explicitly mentions this one. They need to fear that tomorrow is not going to be as pleasant as today. Are you hopeful about potentially getting the leaders scared?
I'm always for personal self-interest. So if you can tell the President of the United States that he may lose control personally and something else will be in control instead, I think that's a powerful argument. I don't know how well he takes arguments about someone else getting hurt.
Right. Okay. And the other mechanism that I think is powerful is the grassroots protesting, right? Just getting people to realize, checking that box, building mutual knowledge of like, oh, this is a thing that we protest. This is a thing that we're worried about, like the Pause AI movement. We're going to have Holly Elmore on the show later. What do you think about that direction?
I like the idea in general. I like them. I supported them. I mentioned them on podcasts. But what I see is in my feed from San Francisco, I have a guy who's been fasting for 30 days to be healthy, and I have a guy who's been starving for 7 days in a protest. It doesn't have the impact.
Right. That's the thing about fasting. Some people do it for health reasons. Yeah. No, I mean, I hear you, right? And that's why somebody asked me, hey, Liran, are you going to go join the hunger strike? And I'm like, look, I support hunger strikes. Like, I think I support any kind of nonviolent protest, that legal nonviolent protest. The problem is just that because not many people are doing it yet, each person who joins is only having a tiny marginal impact. And then when I think about my own actions, I feel like I currently have other actions like doing this show that are higher on the margin, but I just wish a bunch of other people would do it. So there is kind of a little bit of like that Kickstarter problem.
Yeah, and we don't really know what the measure of impact is. You said a tiny little additional impact for each person starving. I haven't seen that study. I don't know if it's actually true.
The study about how much impact each individual person has.
Right, just being in a hunger strike in front of a company, does that actually make a difference for anyone? It may very well, I just haven't seen the study.
All right, fair enough. All right, Roman, we'll go to the next guest. So just tell us what is your main call to action for the viewers?
If you are in a position of building more advanced AI, stop today. Excellent day to do that. Switch to building narrow tools. We have plenty of problems. Go cure cancer or something.
All right, you heard it here first. There's so many good fields you guys could be working on. You really don't have to be working on building the AI. All right, Roman Yampolskiy, thanks for coming by.